The future, Maycee Barber, looking to make it a win streak, looking to make it 2 in a row and climb those rankings. Currently ranked number 14th when she takes on Montana De La Rosa. And realistically, do you call her the heavy-handed Montana De La Rosa? Because listen, in her last fight, she earned her first career victory as a professional by TKO. Now, I say do you call her heavy-handed because it's by TKO, but realistically, she had 4 minutes and 26 seconds of control time in the first round alone against Ariane Lipski, the queen of violence, who was the queen of not winning that fight. Second round, taken down, and then it's just all Montana De La Rosa. And realistically, I had this odd, in my mind's eye version of Montana De La Rosa that's not as impressive as she's been in the UFC. And then when I went back and I watched the fights and I realized, okay, fought on The Ultimate Fighter season, 26? When she fought and took on Ariel Beck, Matt's favorite fighter.
One of the worst fighters to ever step in an octagon. She gave up against Shayna Dobson.
But she beats Ariel Beck by first round Darce choke. Then she goes out there and loses to Nico Montano, your eventual champion. She beats Christina Marks in the UFC, eventual bare knuckle boxer. She beats Rachel Ostovich. She beats Nadia Kasem. And then she loses to Andrea Lee. And then she beats Mara Barella. And then she loses to Viviane Araujo. And then she draws against Maeda Buena Silva. And then she beats Ariane Lipski. This is it. She's beaten fighters that haven't been that close to rankings at all. At all. And beats them impressively. And then she loses to not top 10, like top 7 fighters. You're losing to Andrea Lee. You're losing to Viviane Araujo. Those are very good fighters. You're drawing with Maeda Buena Silva, a good fighter. So it really is hard to have a good barometer as to where Montana De La Rosa is in the UFC. So I will say this. She's beaten, not the greatest fighters, but beaten them impressively. Lipski was looking good before that fight against Montana De La Rosa. She trains, she's moved camps, but she is at Elevation Fight Team once more, training with Raquel Pennington, Tisha Torres, Lauren Murphy, Jessica Aguilar, JJ Aldrich, and Miranda Maverick, who I thought beat Maycee Barber. That was Barber's last fight. Now, fight bookings, fight fallings out. This fight was originally supposed to take place in December at UFC 269. It has since moved around and been reshuffled. But for Barber, again, last time we saw her out was 8 months ago against Miranda Maverick in a fight that Miranda Maverick won the first 2 rounds of that fight.
It was a close fight, though.
It wasn't that close in those 2 rounds.
But again,
and Barber wins the third.
Again, I don't look at that fight, though, and think it's the worst robbery I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
20 of 20 on MMA decisions.
I also had Miranda Maverick winning.
Maverick, rather.
I also had Miranda Maverick winning. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the worst decision I've ever seen in my whole entire life. For Barber, though, this is the good thing. We know what both fighters do to a T. I understand, we might not know where Montana De La Rosa exactly fits in the rankings, but I can tell you exactly what her MMA skill set is. She's a good wrestler, but I wouldn't say a great wrestler. Some of the top-tier grapplers can keep her off of them, but she's a fighter who needs to secure a takedown to win a fight. And I do think the Andrea Lee fight kind of tells you everything you need to know about Montana De La Rosa in one fight, because she's doing okay when she is able to get it onto the mat, when she is able to get it close. But in open space, Montana De La Rosa does not have many weapons to really secure rounds and to get the fight in her side. When she is closing the distance, it is just to get that takedown, and there's not a lot of strikes that are coming behind it. And that's the thing. When you're fighting someone like Maycee Barber, Barber's whole style is built around, I'm going to defend your takedowns and try to beat you up on the feet. And we've seen that style doesn't necessarily work when you do fight the upper echelon in the division, and not even the upper echelon, just smart vets that have really tricky stances or really tricky games. Go back to the Roxanne fight. Even pre-knee injury, Roxanne was giving Maycee trouble just because she was so wonky in her stand-up and with her approaches. I just think stylistically, this is a much easier fight for Maycee Barber because at least Montana De La Rosa is there to be hit. And Barber's X factor, I would say, in this division is that she does have very, very big punching power. You do not want to be hit by her, especially not early on in a fight. I do think Montana De La Rosa is one of the more hittable fighters in this division. Andrea Lee had her face all types of busted up in their fight, and Lee is by no means the type of power puncher that Maycee Barber is. So if De La Rosa is not able to secure those takedowns early in the fight, I can see a world where Barber's able to shuck her off repeatedly and just keep on landing damaging blows up against the cage throughout this fight. But if De La Rosa gets one takedown, she could probably get the second. She could probably get the third. And I do think she has the better cardio out of these two fighters in this matchup.
Weird thing is, Maycee Barber is another one of those fighters we kind of saw throughout her career, and it's still a very young career for both of these women, but more so for Barber. She's not yet 24. She'll turn 24 here in the next few weeks. Switching gyms, and she spent some time at VFS Academy. Obviously, we might see a future champ out of that gym in Bilal Muhammad. He picked up a big win last weekend, but Barber used to be out of there. Now at Team Alpha Male, you see a lot of a guy who used to be in the UFC and yells constantly in the fights that he corners fighters in. I'm talking about Danny Castillo over at Team Alpha Male. So interesting move there for Barber. Obviously, Poppins trains at that gym, Corey McKenna, but also Darren Elkins, who else? Uriah Faber, who else? Cody Garbrandt used to train there.
Song Yadong's by far the best fighter right now.
Song Yadong. Like, there's so many fighters I could go down. Sage Northcutt's trained there. Colby Northcutt, Raymond Daniels. Like, I can make that lineage. But for Maycee Barber, boxing, pressure, usually takedowns, but I don't think that's the play here against De La Rosa. However, we have seen some fighters take De La Rosa down and have success, so it will be interesting to see what kind of a fight we get out of both of these women. Again, for De La Rosa, we focus on it. 1 performance bonus against Nadia Kasem, but again, in some of her fights, like, I guess you could say, what fight? Even in the fight, like, De La Rosa took Andrea Lee down, had some success, so I should back that up.
And also got lit up on the feet.
But that was tricky. So, Montana De La Rosa, bit of a Swiss Army knife. Maycee Barber, mostly the same thing, game in, game out. For Barber, open to minus 155, minus 188 right now. For Montana De La Rosa, open to plus 135, plus 155. We have a look at the votes on Topology. Surprise us they are to you. I'm going to say the future over under 77.5% Barber.
I was thinking 70, so I'll say slightly under.
Slightly under. 567 total votes. Usually pretty bad. You're doing good this week.
Thank you, I know.
Really good. 75% Barber. 84% by decision. For the 25% that I have De La Rosa, 83% by decision. People seeing it going to a decision.
This is one of those fights where if you just look at the resumes, 10 times out of 10, you're going to think Montana De La Rosa is going to win. Because I would say she has the much more accomplished resume. But the issue is you got to break down how they fight. And for Montana De La Rosa, she needs a takedown to win this fight. And she's fighting one of the more physically strong fighters of this weight class, who does have pretty good takedown defense as long as her knees are still working, who does have very heavy hands on the feet. I just think this is a recipe for disaster for Montana De La Rosa. Again, if she's able to secure that takedown early, I think she can rinse and repeat and have some success with that. I just think her striking defense is a massive liability when she's fighting someone who has the hand speed and power of someone like Barber. And again, this isn't me saying, okay, Maycee Barber's going to go back on her, I'm going to be the youngest title challenger or champion in UFC history. I don't think she has that kind of a future, but I do think she's a good enough fighter to beat Montana De La Rosa.
So I look at it this way. JJ Aldrich's been at Elevation forever, right? Miranda Maverick's bounced around in her young career, but she was at Elevation when she fought Maycee Barber. Elevation is 0-2 against Maycee Barber in those 2 fights because Aldrich got knocked out by Barber and Maverick lost a split decision that she won. And I'm going to hold that forever. But it's a win on Barber's record, so it's neither here nor there. Montana De La Rosa now gets another opportunity with that gym in her back pocket to get a win. So I'm eager to see what we get out of De La Rosa. I have Maycee Barber in this one. I think she has a decided striking advantage. But I'm eager to see what we get out of De La Rosa because if she can work in those takedowns, if she can get that top pressure, if she can hold Maycee Barber down, we know how good of a submission artist Montana De La Rosa is. Now all of a sudden she has a win by knockout her last time out, so I can't just say that she's just a submission artist. But I'm eager to see more so what we get out of De La Rosa and maybe some of the wrinkles that Team Alpha Male is able to throw in there, along with Danny Castillo's angry yelling out of the corner.
He had a nice record, too, that people don't realize. He fought a who's who of, world-class fighters.
So a big-time opportunity for both these women. Both of us going with Maycee Barber to get the win. I can't wait for the fight and the rest of the fights on this main card that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.